On tonight's CTV News, we remember the outbreak of World War I. A local school is upset over stolen laptops, and 40,000 voters have yet to register for the general election. This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. It was a rough start to the school week for Woolston Primary School. 20 classroom laptops were stolen over the weekend. Emma Cropper has the story.
It's back to pen and paper for these students. A weekend robbery saw their stash of classroom laptops go missing.
We had 23 of them in here, 20 of which have gone missing, have been taken, including all the charges that were on both levels.
Dusting for fingerprints, the police are still searching for leads. The thieves took off with more than $10,000 worth of technology after breaking in through this classroom window.
So as you can imagine, we're pretty sad at the moment. It's not a very happy day.
A shock for these Year 6 to 8 bilingual students when they arrived at school this morning. The Decile 2 primary school bought $44,000 worth of laptops for students at the start of the year, many of them without access to a computer at home.
It's really upset them, hugely, and it's going to really slow down the progress of their learning because the Chromebooks have been amazing. The
classroom's teacher, Tito Winterburn, sent a plea to return the laptops online over the weekend, receiving almost 2,000 shares on Facebook.
And it's been really humbling, the response from not just Christchurch residents but nationwide.
Until the laptops are either found or replaced, the students are going back to learning the old-fashioned way. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Christchurch Hospital staff are not coping well with the noise from the earthquake strengthening repairs.
Earplugs are the latest accessory for Christchurch Hospital workers. Doing all they can to block out the noise, earplugs have been widely distributed and 15 minutes of silence has been implemented for every hour of construction noise. The Christchurch Hospital is undergoing earthquake strengthening and repairs. The work being done on the lower ground floor of the hospital's clinical services building has reported interrupted procedures. The reported incidents were highlighted in a Canterbury District Health Board's report last week. Nurses and doctors working in orthopaedic outpatients, radiology and child assessment units in the building reported high stress levels due to the construction noise. CDHB senior management and affected hospital staff held a meeting in June, aiming to put measures in place to address the impact of the noise. The noisiest work has now finished, but the strengthening work will continue in stages around the hospital until 2019.
A report into the Christchurch City Council's finances is recommending that a new company is set up to manage the council's commercial assets.
The proposed new company would replace Christchurch City Holdings, and suggested name is Commercial Co, and its role would be to manage the council's commercial assets and activities. Valued at more than $2.6 billion, Christchurch City Holdings' assets are significant. It's proposed that $400 million could be raised if 25% of the company's assets are sold off to a strategic partner. This would help to offset the council's estimated $900 million funding shortfall for the Christchurch rebuild. Commercial Co could be set up in the place of this company. It would help with tourism and economic development and be responsible for some of the City Council-led rebuild projects. The 93-page Cameron Partners report says the council's current commercial structure is likely to lead to less favourable outcomes for the rebuild. The report proposes a new structure and a new board made up of the council's chief executive and chief financial officer, the mayor, finance committee chair, 3 independent directors and an independent chair. An establishment board is also proposed to oversee the implementation of the new commercial organisational structure.
A couple building a new garage have made a chilling find. A human skull, believed to be more than 100 years old, was dug up on Saturday. A pathologist who examined the skull says the person was likely to be a middle-aged Māori woman and probably died in the late 1880s. Police have ruled out foul play, telling the Christchurch Press there was nothing to suggest it was a suspicious death. Due to the age of the skull, it will be given to local iwi. An internationally acclaimed public sculpture has come to Christchurch.
A word incorrectly spelt. More than 4 metres wide, the absence of the letter in the word is a blank canvas. Created by Australian artist Emma Anna, The aim of the artwork's missing letter is to invite the audience to physically engage with the work and complete the word. Sponsored by more than 15 local organisations, including the Christchurch City Council, the artwork was installed on Peterborough Street over the weekend. The artist, Emma Anna, hopes the people of Christchurch will play and interact with the sculpture. A social media campaign was launched, asking people what they imagine for the future of the city. In a month's time, the piece will be relocated to New Brighton, and then after that, on to Sydenham. The work will stay in Christchurch until the end of the year.
With so much construction happening in the city, it is unsurprising Christchurch rebuild workers have the highest number of injuries in the country. A health and safety seminar is focusing on cutting down high levels of rebuild worker fatigue.
Thousands of construction workers have moved to Christchurch, and companies are working around the clock to fix homes, bring up buildings and get the city back on its feet. Today, more than 200 employees of construction companies and industry leaders came together to discuss worker fatigue. It's the number one issue affecting the rebuild at the moment. The fear is tired workers could cause more harm than good when working on construction sites.
It's because construction is a risky industry really, and there's lots of activities that are undertaken in construction that lend themselves to being affected by fatigue when you're impaired.
Overseas research has shown fatigue is a major contributor to accidents. Already Christchurch has recorded the highest amount of construction-related injuries than anywhere else in the country. No one wants things to get any worse.
There's a lot of pressure in the rebuild at the moment, so there's a lot of expectation on timeframes. There's a lot of new workers in the rebuild. So we know that under those conditions of work pressure and workload, that fatigue's likely to be an issue.
Last year, WorkSafe New Zealand recorded 137 serious construction injuries in Christchurch. Another 24 serious injuries happened in wider Canterbury. Together, that's 27% of the country's serious injuries.
You need a very good decision making, you need to have really good hand-eye coordination, balance, situational awareness, all of those sorts of things. So the very nature of the work in construction means that if you are fatigued, you are likely to be impaired and you're at much greater risk of having some kind of incident or being injured.
WorkSafe New Zealand says employers should be developing a fatigue management policy to help keep worksites safe. It's up to employers and employees to make sure fatigue isn't affecting the workplace.
The employer has a primary obligation, of course, and their obligation is to ensure that workers are given enough time in between their work schedules to actually get enough rest. But employees have an obligation as well to make sure that they use that time off work to be well rested and to sleep.
Despite more than 161 serious injuries occurring on a Canterbury worksite last year, we're still doing better than across the ditch.
The residential building industry here is performing better than Australia, so that's very edifying.
The next forum will be focused on keeping worksites drug and alcohol free, another important issue to focus on during the Canterbury rebuild. Right now, WorkSafe New Zealand does not need to be told if an employer discovers an employee is under the influence on a worksite. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Coming up, CTV commemorates the start of World War I.
Southern Newsweek is an Otago-based news bulletin. Produced locally in Dunedin, it's your chance to catch up on everything that's happening in the community. Southern Newsweek, Saturday at 6:30 p.m. and repeated Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on CTV.
Located at the foot of the Port Hills, Berrymead Golf offers a spectacular location for any occasion. Make your dream wedding a reality with private use of our green function room, outdoor garden courtyard, large marquee and stunning gazebo. Or for your next conference, enjoy the relaxed atmosphere of Berrymead Golf, offering a private, spacious conference room with special deals to make any break a true break. All with customised catering from the Wow Cafe. Berrymead Golf, 50 Berrymead Park Drive, right next to the Berrymead Heritage Park.
Come in and meet the locals at the Bush Inn Centre. Whether it's to grab a coffee on the go or to catch up with a friend over lunch or dinner, the Bush Inn Centre is the perfect place. With our unique range of shops, you'll find everything you're looking for and more. Our friendly locals are always happy to help. We have plenty of parking at the Bush Inn Centre, making your shopping experience just a little bit easier. So come in, meet the locals and shop Bush Inn. You'll find us on the corner of Riccarton and Waimarie Roads.
Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to Carpet Kingdom. At Carpet Kingdom we stock a massive range of carpets and we're also the largest vinyl stockist in the South Island. And not only do we have an excellent range in store, but you can purchase our stock online. We offer free measuring quotes, we have our own installation team, we ship nationwide, so come on down and see us at Carpet Kingdom. 312 Wilsons Road in Waltham, just off Brougham Street, or visit us online at carpetkingdom.co.nz.
Canterbury Live coming to you daily at 4:30. It's all about what's happening in your region, Canterbury, what's hot, what's not, and much more. Canterbury Live.
Twelve-week programs are being rolled out in Canterbury for the first time, aiming to aid drivers through the trials and tribulations of getting their restricted licences. Emma Cropper went out with the team as they took their first candidate through the course.
One step closer to being independent on the roads. Cody Mitchell's taking to the driver's seat in the hopes of earning his restricted licence.
Quite happy there. Your rear view mirror, you know where your indicators are, everything's there, cool.
But this isn't your typical driving lesson. The first of many, 18-year-old Cody is part of the New Zealand Transport Agency's mentor program, the first of its kind in the South Island.
Now we're heading up this way, we've changed direction. Let's have a look and see what's around us. So we're checking our mirrors, what's behind.
Mentors guide the Lunar Drivers through 12 weeks of driving lessons. Their first time behind the wheel, an initial test with the AA.
Turn around and have a good look through that blind spot.
They test driving skills for an hour on Christchurch roads, assessing where they need to be more confident before sitting the test and hitting the roads in a car by themselves.
Main choice, again, changing and merging blind spots. Get into that habit. Must do. Indicating 3 seconds and then before you're moving, checking your blind spot.
Cody's had his learner licence for 2 years. Failing it once before, he's racked up fines for breaching the terms of his learner licence. But how did he go this time?
Cody went well in his driving test, but there's a few buts there with some issues that he's got, which he just needs to brush up those skills on, and probably his main thing is he's got to think with it.
So a few things to work on there, Cody, but how did you think the test went?
It was pretty good. Just need to brush up on a little bit of skills and just keep practicing to get better at it.
The NZTA are hoping to make roads safer, reducing the amount of crashes learner drivers are involved in on local roads.
It's the finer details that they're missing out on. They've been perhaps driving under the radar for quite some time, so doing it the way they think is best. They just need to get those skills and get them sorted so they can put them into practice.
Cody has 12 weeks to brush up on these skills before he's ready to sit his restricted licence. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
The Electoral Commission is warning thousands of New Zealanders may miss out on voting at next month's general election unless they sign up soon.
It's time to sign up to the Electoral Roll, but more than 43,000 New Zealanders have yet to do so. The Electoral Commission mailed enrolment update packs to everyone on the roll at the end of June, asking them to check their details. Enrolment update packs have been bouncing back because people have moved homes but haven't recorded their new addresses. While voting is not compulsory, it is a legal requirement to enrol to be registered on the Electoral Roll. The Wellington Central electorate has had the most voters removed from the roll, with 1,237, while the Waimakariri electorate has had the least removed, with just 351. During the 2011 election, more than 3 million people were enrolled, but only 2.2 million people voted. This year, various political parties are targeting the missing voters, including the youth vote.
The numbers of foreign students studying in Christchurch have dropped significantly since the earthquakes.
From 15 to 7,000 in 3 years, the numbers of international students choosing Christchurch to study have been cut in half. Education New Zealand's Christchurch Program Manager, Emily Branthwaite, says there has been strong interest and increasing enrolments from traditional markets, China and Japan. In 2010, more than 2,000 Chinese students came to Christchurch, and in 2013, over 1,800. The number of Japanese students dropped from over 2,500 in 2010 to more than 1,400 last year. Emily Branthwaite says South Korea and Saudi Arabia are not yet showing signs of recovery. Before the earthquake, South Korea had over 3,000 students studying in Canterbury in 2010. In 2013, that number dropped to 607. Saudi Arabia is much the same, with more than 1,200 students in 2010 and only 116 last year. The Christchurch Program Manager expects numbers to leap up quite quickly once the countries are back on board.
Today marks the 100th anniversary of the declaration of war by Britain, which started off the Great War. More than 100,000 brave New Zealanders fought overseas and 18,000 were killed in the war, which was one of the highest fatality rates of any nation in the British Empire. The names of the Christchurch fallen are engraved on war memorials around the city. Tomorrow the Christchurch RSA will mark the anniversary with a small ceremony, but here is CTV's tribute to those who fought for their country. And thanks to our editor Nick Boyd for suggesting and preparing that lovely item. Still to come, the weekend sport and weather forecast.
G'day, this is Fletch, your presenter of the TV show Classic Restos. It's the show where it's your chance to see completed restorations being shown, driven and enjoyed.
Blackwells has a proud history presenting leading vehicle brands, extensive backup and service for a total one-stop driving experience. Holden, Mazda and HSV new and used vehicle sales, servicing, parts, paint and panel, Isuzu truck sales and service, all together in one convenient location. More selection, more value, more quality and more reasons to make Blackwells your number one choice. Visit Blackwells today, corner Waterloo Racecourse Road, Sockburn or online at blackwells.co.nz.
Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
Yuck, look at all this moss and lichen. I'm not getting up there, not in these heels. Time to call Mossbuster.
Mossbuster is a no-bleach, non-abrasive, biodegradable solution that has over 35 years of proven results. You can buy Mossbuster online for less than half the cost of other well-known products and can be yours for less than $1 a litre. You just spray it on and let Mother Nature do the rest, or Mossbuster can do it for you. Check out our website or call the Mossbuster crew for a free quote. Mossbuster, 0800 88 1000.
Make sure you catch a virtual tour of the roadworks and traffic changes affecting the CBD each weekday at 7, 8 and 9 a.m. Catch it again during your lunch break at 12 and watch CTV News first at 5 for the latest update.
Here's Gordon with a look back at the weekend sport.
Many fans will play the blame game, but credit has to go to the Waratahs, who were the better team on the night and combined exciting back play with a resolute defence throughout the match. Our attention will now turn to the ITM Cup, where Canterbury will look for their 7th straight provincial title when their campaign gets underway against Auckland on August 16th. First five, Jared Percival scored all of high school old boys points in their 14-5 win over Sydenham in yesterday's Hawkins Trophy Metro Rugby final at Rugby Park. Old boys' only try of the match came in the 24th minute when Percival ran onto a well-judged kick behind the Sydenham defence by Johnny Legg. Down 11-0 just before the break, Sydenham grabbed a late first half try after spending the majority of the first half camped in their zone. The second half was a battle of the defences, with Sydenham having a series of opportunities to get back in the match in the dying stages, and will look to their ball handling skills when asked why they failed to convert. You can see full coverage of the match here on CTV this Wednesday at 7 p.m. The second finalist spot for this year's Rugby League competition has been found after the Celebration Lions came out on top of a tight 26-22 win over the Linwood Kias. After trailing 8-0 early on, the Lions put together a strong effort for the remainder of the match to come out eventual winners. The Lions will now meet the Hawesville Hornets in a rematch of the 2011 competition grand final. Cashmere Technical are just 1 point away from retaining their mainland Premier League football title after thrashing Nelson Suburbs 5-1 yesterday. Cashmere, who still have 4 games left in their mainland competition, have also found their opponents for the semi-finals of the Chatham Cup after being drawn away to Onehunga Sports. The defending champions will travel to Auckland for their match on August 16th. The finalists for Canterbury men's hockey final have been found after Harewood embarrassed Selwyn 10-1. Their opponents this weekend will be Carlton Redcliffs, who defeated University 5-2 in the other semi-final. The women's final will be played between high school old boys Burnside and Carlton after both sides won their respective semi-finals against Hornby and Harewood. And finally tonight, Hayden Paddon has finished up 8th in the weekend's Rally of Finland. After a poor first day, Paddon improved on days 2 and 3 to sit in a strong 6th position against both of his teammates going into the final day. However, Paddon was plagued with a power steering failure on the final day to end the rally in 8th spot. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Finlater for CTV Sport.
Each week we invite viewers to suggest some music to accompany the regional weather. This track is called DeLorean Dynamite from its album Time by Todd Terje. Here is your regional weather.
Kia ora Canterbury, let's take a look at today's weather. Looking first at Timaru 12 and Temuka and Geraldine 13 degrees. Methven hit 13 also, while Ashburton and Rakaia hit 12 degrees today. Darfield 13, and looking now at Leeston and Ralston 12. Lincoln and Christchurch hit 12 today also, and over in Akanawa they had the low of the region on 11. In North Canterbury, Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley hit 13. In the Hurunui district, Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot 13 degrees, and up the top in Kaikoura 12. And looking ahead for what's in store for tomorrow. In Timaru, fine with high cloud increasing during the day and northeasterly winds tending northwesterly later on, hitting an overnight low of 4 and a high of 16 degrees. In Ashburton, a fine and sunny Tuesday in store, with scattered high cloud late in the day and a switch to northwesterly winds from the evening. An overnight low of 4 and a high during the day of 14 degrees. In Christchurch, sunshine and northeasterly breezes make for a pleasant Tuesday ahead in Christchurch, hitting an overnight low of 4 and a high of 14 degrees. And up the top in Kaikoura, mostly fine and sunny with northeasterly winds, hitting 4 overnight and 14 during the day. And in other areas around the region, Temuka and Geraldine fine with a high of 14. Methven expect a high of 15 and Rakaia hoping to reach 15 tomorrow. Darfield will have one of the highs of 15 and Ralston and Lincoln fine on 14. Over in Akanawa expect a low of 4 and a high of 13. Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley, a high of 14 degrees is expected. And at the top in Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot, fine with a high of 15 and overnight low of 3. And looking ahead for Canterbury, a brief period of southwesterly winds early on Wednesday, with some cloud and a few brief light showers, then fine with northeasterlies during the afternoon, then gusty northwesterlies developing at night. Strong gusty northwesterlies on Thursday, with high cloud increasing and mild temperatures. Strong gusty, very cold southwesterlies developing on Friday morning. With some brief light showers, snow flurries are expected to 200 metres. Becoming fine and sunny during the afternoon, with cold winds decreasing, heavy frosts possible Friday night. Mostly fine and sunny on Saturday, with moderate westerly winds and cool temperatures. Milder northwesterlies freshening on Sunday with high cloud increasing. And that's all for your region's weather. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And that's CTV News for Monday. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.